Hello and welcome to Crux Investor. We spoke earlier today with Adam Lundin. He's the CEO at Josemaria. They are a copper and gold developer with assets in Argentina. And we talk about Argentina and how to do business there. We also talk about their $3 billion CapEx program ahead of them. Two big elephants in the room. He deals with them head on. We also discuss the rest of the project looking forward for this year. If you want our thoughts and opinions on that conversation, you can find that at cruxinvestor.com/club, where you can also find detailed company reports and analysis. We've got commentaries from experts from around the world on a variety of companies and commodities, including copper and gold. We've got training courses on there to help you with your diligence process. We do summaries of all of our interviews to save you some time because we know you're busy. And if you want to join a thriving community of investors sharing their thoughts and ideas with each other in a nice, friendly, safe environment, free from trolling, judgment, and abuse, you can find them at cruxinvestor.com/club. I think you'll love it. And we'd love your feedback too. So do give us a like. We appreciate it. Leave your thoughts below. Get back to absolutely everyone. And if you want to see what we talked about today, do take a look at the description below. Adam, how are you, sir?
Good, Matt. How about you?
All good, all good. Where are you?
I'm in Vancouver right now.
Hiding out. You're not, are you finishing off the ski season there? I mean, what's happening in Vancouver?
We just went into a lockdown, so they closed Whistler for the season. So unfortunately, the season got cut short, but was able to get some good ski days in. So very lucky. Good.
Back at it. And is everyone back at the office now? Are you all kind of like taking turns to come in and out, or how's it work?
If people want to come in, for sure. Normally, people in the office are everyone with small kids at home and need a little break or a quiet area to work. But with the lockdown and COVID situation, we recommend everyone to work from home if they can.
So I interviewed your brother recently. He's down in country, sweating, right?
Yeah.
And you're in Vancouver.
Skiing. Yeah, no, Jack's, I like to believe I'm the real deal, but Jack's definitely the real deal, doing Fruta del Norte and now going to Cerro Blanco in Guatemala. He's a guy I'll bet on 110 times out of 100.
He told a good story. He did tell a good story. That's for sure. Okay. Hey, we're going to hear about Josemaria today, but we've not heard it before. So if you don't mind, give us a 1-minute overview and I'll pick it up with some questions from there.
Yeah, for sure. Josemaria, it's a large, homogeneous ore body in Argentina, in the province of San Juan. We have 6.7 billion pounds of copper, 7 million ounces of gold, 31 million ounces of silver. Good strip ratio of 1-to-1. It's going to be an open pit operation. We have water access, as close as 1.5 kilometers from site. We've done the test work for that can support our mine. And we finished the feasibility study last November. We submitted our EIA to the province of San Juan, I believe about a month ago now. So we're definitely rolling. And what's very exciting is, we went for $40 million Canadian. We upsized that to just over 50 million Canadian. But even very happy to make, the announcement a couple of weeks ago we started bringing on the builder team. And that's led by Phil Brumman and Dave Oganowski. These are guys that we got acquainted with through Lundin Mining when we were involved in the Tenke Fungurume operation, and they were the Freeport team who built that project. So we know these guys. Phil was recently running Candelaria for Lundin Mining, and then after expansions were done, and that turned into a steady state operation. He's a builder, so he left the project, and we were able to retain him and his team. So moving forward very aggressively and very excited and happy about the progress.
Yeah, so the numbers on the feasibility study. But let's start with the elephant in the room, okay?
Yeah.
Let's talk about Argentina and $3 billion CapEx. Okay, that's the first thing people are going to be looking at. We'll come into the feasibility study and how you're going to move things forward. But Argentina, difficult place to do business right now, isn't it?
Argentina, it's in a third year of a recession. They have a lot of temporary taxes in place. And if you look at the two biggest copper producing nations in the world, you're talking Chile and Peru. Overall tax rates, Chile around 40%, Peru 47 to 52%. You layer, it's a bit of a moving target, but you layer all these temporary taxes in Argentina, you're closer to 65%. These temporary taxes are supposed to come off, but that's, not good enough. We're looking to implement fiscal stability where we won't be affected by current temporary taxes or any potential new temporary taxes that may put in place. And so we need that in order to continue to move forward. We kicked off those discussions with the government last January. You'll see a slide in the corporate presentation of me and my father meeting with the president. And so those discussions have been going on, and we have a very warm reception Josemaria, $3 billion CapEx. Anything that has a big $3 billion, it better be worthy of it. And Josemaria is very worthy of that CapEx, and it's worth moving forward. So we're encouraged. I believe we use $3 copper, $15 gold, and $18 silver in our feasibility study. With those commodity price assumptions, 30% of the project revenue is from precious metals. We're big believers in copper. We're very focused on copper. I believe, doing a stream or selling the precious metals forward will help bring in, north of $1 billion, and that will help kickstart that project finance package. So those are two of my biggest focuses this year, dealing with fiscal stability in Argentina and showing shareholders that I can move this project forward without diluting shareholders. And so big focus this year, which I believe will help us re-rate and help us trade more like a copper stock. Right now our share price is typically flat for the last 12 months, where the copper price has gone parabolic.
It has. So it shows concern. That's why I want to talk with this. So, okay, fiscal stability. Let's deal with this. I want to deal with it head on. So fiscal stability, you're talking like you're in control, because you said you've got to get fiscal stability, but the government has acted in a certain way over the last 3 years, putting suggesting taxes on the rich, because that's a way of dealing. It seems like headline grabbing stuff to me. Putting these sort of temporary taxes in place. How long do you think that you're going to wait before you expect to sort of see results in that case, given you're talking the language of being, on the front foot, as it were?
As us, we really view ourselves as contractors coming in and developing Argentina's resource. If they want to do this, it's up to them. We're happy we want to work together hand in hand, and we have enough, eyesight and clarity from the government that they want to play ball. This being the biggest proposed infrastructure project in the nation, we get a lot of open doors. We've been there for 30 plus years. We're quite familiar with how things work, and have good relationships with the communities all the way to the federal government. So I'm confident that fiscal stability, it may not come in one fell swoop where we get everything we want, but maybe it will come in steps, and I think those steps will start to play out quite quickly here.
But what are those moving parts? What is fiscal stability? What is it comprised of for you?
For me, we want to be able to bring dollars inside and outside the country freely. We want to be able to pay dividends. We want to be able to use proceeds from the sales of our metal to pay off our international loans and everything like that. So I think taking off those currency controls in place is a good first step. Eliminating the export tax is another good step. And so this is the path we're on, and I believe this will come to fruition this year.
Okay. So lots more meetings with you and government to try and work out what those steps are. And do you think we will see some sort of resolution this year, or is it a longer term? I think
we'll start to see it this year. Right. What's going on in Argentina is you have midterm elections coming up in October, and campaigning's really starting to begin. If they thought Josemaria project wasn't favorable for the nation or going to benefit the country, maybe they'd start talking about it and focus on more other points to help everyone get reelected. But what we've seen is they've been vocal, and our project has been talked about. So I'm quite confident that we're not going to be stuffed in a drawer and wait for these midterms to end and then re-engage. I believe these discussions will continue to go on, and we should see some form of fiscal stability come into place prior to midterm elections.
Okay. Thanks for dealing with it. I think it's a big question. It's possible, because I'm looking at your market cap. I'm like, okay, that's 215 million market cap. Yeah. That's for the feasibility study that just came out. That's unusual. People are nervous about something. So the second component that they might be nervous about is 3 billion capex. You've talked about maybe streaming or forward selling in some way, shape, or form or structure. The precious metal component, I assume, which is not an insignificant amount. That gets you part of the way there. That's still a pretty big number you're left with. Yeah,
for sure. So if we think we can bring in $1 billion on streaming, doing 230,000 ounces of gold and 1 million ounces of silver for a 19-year mine life, being able to sell majority of the silver, maybe a third of the gold, and that brings in roughly $1 billion. Where's the next two coming from? I think fiscal stability will help us get better terms and better cost of capital. And so once we get fiscal stability, we can further engage with parties. But also, this is a grassroots discovery. We made this discovery. The asset is completely unencumbered. We own 100% of it. I am open to bring in a partner as well at the asset level, and then having them further advance the project with us together.
Okay, using someone else's balance sheet. Okay, interesting. So there can't be too many people that we're talking about here. Have you had any of those discussions? Have you got a sense of interest?
Yeah, I think if we didn't have a sense that we'd be able to find partners, we wouldn't be moving forward as aggressively as we are. So we've had good conversations, but again, Matt, let's get this fiscal stability in place. Let's continue the discussions with potential partners, and then see what it lays out. I don't have a firm, this is where I'm getting 500, this is where I'm getting $1 billion. I know how it's going to play out, and our ideal scenario is having not touch any of the copper, staying as operator, and still being in the driver, still being the driver of this project.
Okay, so Lundin family seen as a positive being involved here. What, 39 or so 40% shareholders at this? Is that a positive, or is that another thing that the market is nervous about? You big holders. There's you got board, and institutional holding is very small as well. Is that by design? Do you think you got it right?
I think we used to have more institutional holders. I think as now, let's see, I hope funds are getting inflows. They should be, but I think mining is a long-term game, and fund managers are judged short-term, and so I think it's been tough for them in the mining space, and they've seen a lot of outflow. So we see a lot of funds kind of disappear or focus more on liquid investments, big market caps, and move away from the junior space. So that's why I think our institutional holding is low. On the family ownership side, I think people should view it as a huge positive. I think 3 years ago, we were roughly around a 20% owner. And as we've moved the project forward through pre-feasibility study, feasibility study, maybe not as much sex appeal as a Filo, for example, with great exploration and near-term catalysts. This is, a long-term development game. But again, submitted the EIA, going through fiscal stability, good eyesight to project finance. And I really believe, 2021 is shaping up to be a great year for Josemaria.
Well, you guys can afford to be a long-term holder. You're kind of doubling down, right?
Yeah.
Whereas the institutions can't. I buy that. What should retail be thinking right now?
I think retail should be thinking is like, okay, if let's look at Lundin Gold, for example, going into Ecuador, end of 2014, we had Fortress Minerals. It had $5 million in cash. We paid $200 million for FDN off Kinross. We raised $1 billion to get that into production. That started it out around $3.50, $4 a share. Today, you're north of $10 a share. Yeah, that was time, but you took step ups in the share price. And if we can execute like Lundin Gold did, and I believe we can, Ron Hochstein, who's running that company, doing a terrific job, is also on the board here of Josemaria. So I think if you're prepared and a good long-term investor, you're going to see us take those steps up to higher share prices over time.
Okay. Well, maybe let's get into the project proper. I mean, actually, give us the highlights on the FS, because people need to understand the scale of what's ahead.
Yeah. So the highlights on the feasibility study, first, I think the production profile is extremely attractive. You're talking 130,000 tons of copper, 230,000 ounces of gold, and just over 1 million ounces of silver for a 19-year mine life. Also, what people should focus on is the topography. It's a great location for an open pit mine. It's a low strip ratio of 1-to-1. It's a large throughput of 150,000. We're averaging 152,000 tons per day. And so it's a big operation. Obviously, we've touched on the capex of $3 billion. And the overall grade of the project, it's a moderate grade deposit, 0.3% copper, 0.22 grams a ton gold, and around 1 gram a ton silver. And so that's why we have that large throughput to drive that production profile. But when you have that moderate grade deposit with a large throughput, you're very sensitive to commodity pricing. And so our MPV, using the commodity prices we assumed in the study, which I mentioned earlier in our conversation, $3 copper, $1,500 gold, and $18 silver. every 10% move in copper higher from $3 a pound, every 10% move equates to an increase of $500 million of MPV to our project. So you're looking at copper of around $4 a pound a day. Our MPV is really, a $1.5 billion. But if we look at today's commodity prices, we're north of $3 billion. And so you look at our market cap, call it 200 million US. We're trading less than 0.1 times.
Yeah, no, I understand that. So some of the other kind of smaller outliers are you've submitted the permits and the ESIA. What's the time frame on those?
So we scheduled for 12 to 18 months to get those permit approved. We had a very great reception when we submitted those permits to, those permits will be issued to us by the province of San Juan. They have a great governor there, Governor Unek. And also, what's good to mention is let's finish the timeline. We scheduled for 12 to 18 months. When we submitted those permits, the provincial governor came out publicly and said, we want to beef up the ministry. We want to get these permits back within 8 to 10 months. If that's possible, I'm looking at receiving, my EIA and a permit approval in October. I'm not going to change my schedule, but if they do come in early, we'll be ready.
Okay, fine. Well, let's talk about you've raised since August last year. You've raised $81 million. Okay, mm-hmm. 215 million market cap. You've raised $81 million. What are you doing with it? Why is it creating value? Why is it a good use of funds?
Yeah, it allows us to further de-risk and further advance the project. And so with the $80 million, we just raised 50. The 30, I believe that was in August. That allowed us to finish the feasibility study. That allowed us to finish our environmental impact assessment. Now, as we move forward, it allows us to secure the builder team. It allows us to move further with value engineering, do more early earthworks, on the Southern Access Road, and get prepared, towards construction, which we would like to start in Q3, Q4 next year.
If you get the fiscal stability.
Yeah, I think fiscal stability is something we all need to see in order to go start. The family, and we're there, and our great shareholders are there to continue to support the project moving forward. But when you're getting into bigger numbers, it's going to be out of our realm. And in order to get those big dollars and the appropriate cost of capital on those dollars, fiscal stability is going to be important.
So with regards to strategic partners, are there any players in country already operating who do have a better line to the government than you?
I think there's some fantastic mining companies in Argentina, in the San Juan province. Barrick is operating the Valadero mine, doing a phenomenal job there. And especially since, Mr. Bristow came in and took over, they're doing the right things. They're exploring around their deposit. I think they've already increased their mine life. In the Salta province, you have First Quantum with the Taka project, another great company. They've mentioned that they're going to be spending money and moving that project forward. Also, you have Pan American Silver, great company. They're in a tough province in Chubut, but have a great project, Navidad. So there's great players in the country, and everybody wants to move these projects forward. I think what's unique about Argentina, when we came into Ecuador and we're able to do it, and now you see a lot of players in Ecuador, and that's what really grassroots exploration. If Argentina wants to open up, and Josemaria, we're willing to go first. We're betting that the country wants to better itself and open up mining. You have a lot of advanced projects behind Josemaria that can get going. In 10 years, Argentina, if they want, they could be, top 10 producing nation of copper. And that's the pitch we make to them. Do you want to be involved in the green fuel, play an active part in the electric revolution? You can do it.
But I'm intrigued where you guys get the confidence, why you're sort of jogging up to the start line, as it were, as opposed to waiting to see if the race is going to start. So, you've raised a ton of money. You're going to advance things because you must have a high degree of certainty, or you're a really good poker player trying to work out what the government's going to do.
I think, at the group, maybe we're naive, but we feel like, people want to better themselves. People want to better the local communities, and mining is a key player in that. And so when we meet with government officials and sit down, and my father's done it numerous times, if we get that sense that yes, they want to better themselves and they see mining want to play an active role in that, instead of waiting for it to get better, we're happy to go hand in hand alongside them and make a bet that it is going to get better. And we're not going to wait for it to get better. We're happy to go with the host nation and make it better alongside them and help them improve things. Where I think other boards or other companies, boards will say, let's wait and see it's better before we mandate you to spend further dollars. That's the difference with it.
Okay. Again, so I'm sorry. You're going to use this $50 million to kind of further the project. Does that get you to the end of a DFS? Is that what you're aiming to do?
Yeah. So this next $50 million should get us, should take us to normally when you're finished basic engineering, you're 30% engineered, and then you make your construction decision, and that should take us to that level. Okay,
fantastic. At which point you can have more sensible discussions around financing. Okay, so you told us what you're going to do. What should we be looking at for this year? So I kind of keep it on a kind of high level here, but the way that you're thinking about this is really, really important, because I suggest, and I suspect from what we're reading out in the marketplace, that people want to know how you're tackling, the kind of the two elephants in the room and the timing on that before, because the project looks great. Feasibility study, the numbers fantastic, and you've got the capital to be able to move the thing forward through to an investment decision. Fantastic. But
no, it's a fantastic project. And Catalyst this year, again, not to belabor the point, but we should see, fiscal stability. We should receive permits on our EIA. We've already started putting the builder team together that will surround, these tremendous guys who've built their projects before, Phil Brumman and Dave Boganowski. And then you should see us, start to tackle the project finance.
Right. But
so 3 major events.
Yeah, three absolute major events. But do you, again, as a retail, which is a kind of big part of this, is do we sit back and wait until you started delivering some of those things? You got long lead times on the EIA and the permitting too. So do we just sit back and wait? You've got cash. You don't really kind of care too much about liquidity right now, do you?
No, I think it's important, right? It's definitely, you need that liquidity. You want people, to have comfort that I can come in and exit your stock freely. And so liquidity is very, very important to me. And we're making big efforts to make sure people, have ability to enter and exit the stock freely and as they want, and it doesn't trade by appointment only. And so it's important. Liquidity is important to me. For sure.
Okay. So your key driver is being able to trade at a better multiple to NAV. That's what you want.
Yes. Start climbing that ladder.
Start climbing that ladder. Okay. Well, Adam, I appreciate the run through, and thanks for telling us that story. Clearly, there's lots you're in control of, a few things that you're not. Stay in touch. Let us know how you get on. Intriguing, and certainly in terms of the valuation component, but a leverage there for investors if they're interested. Speak soon.
Thanks, Matt. Appreciate it.